A lot of entrepreneurs start their journey as a side hustle. And actually, I was one of those entrepreneurs. So I know firsthand there are some unique challenges that come along with building a business while also working full or part-time. So today I'm going to break down 3 tips to help you maximize the time you do have to work on your business so you can grow your side hustle into a full-time hustle if that's ultimately what you want to do. Before we get to today's episode, I have something really exciting to share with you. Our 6-figure school business mentorship is officially open for enrollment, and I would love to work with you over the next 12 weeks, where we will equip you with a step-by-step plan to launch or grow your business or your big idea, along with mindset tools to help you get out of your own way, and the most incredible community of like-minded women to support you and hold you accountable. Even if you don't have a business yet, but you know you are meant for more, there is no such thing as joining 6-figure school too early because you have access to this program and community for the life of the program. So you can truly grow and learn at your own pace. I want you to ask yourself this question. What kind of impact could I be making 6 months from now? And I want you to think about that while you listen to just a few of our recent 6-figure school graduates, what they have been able to accomplish since joining the 6-figure school community.
The thing I loved about 6-figure school is it literally gives you a plan to launch your business. Being a small business owner or even just having an idea that you want to launch and put out into the world is super overwhelming. There's so many different ways that you can start. There's so many different things that you need to focus on. And what I really loved about 6-figure school is it took all of those ideas and put it in a super manageable, easy format for you to actually execute. I saw so many women come in with a beautiful dream for a business and actually leave 6-figure school with a plan to execute and launch it out into the world.
Just think about where you could be 6 months from now and the lives that you could be impacting. Enrollment is only open for a few days, so don't miss your opportunity to join us. I cannot wait to work with you and grow and learn inside this community. So head to join6figureschool.com. You can get all the details there, answer your questions, and enroll and start this amazing journey of launching and scaling your big idea to make the impact that you know you're meant to make. Now let's get to today's episode. Welcome back to the show, and thanks so much for tuning in today. I am so grateful for the global community of women who listen to this podcast. Just over the last couple of weeks, I've had the opportunity to connect and really e-meet, I guess, whatever meeting through Instagram constitutes. I've had a chance to connect with some of you, and it just means the world. So I wanted to take this opportunity to just tell you how much it means to us that you listen, and those of you who share it on social media or have left a review. It sounds so simple, but those things mean the world to a podcast to help get this message out to more women, help remind more women that they are not meant to do business or life alone. And we could not do it without you. So I'm grateful to everyone who's listening to today's episode. And I'm guessing if you clicked on this one, you might fit into this category and the topic that we're talking about today of growing a side hustle. And for most entrepreneurs that I know, and a lot of the women in our community, that's how their entrepreneurship journey started, where they have a full-time job or sometimes a part-time job, and then they're using the other little pockets of time in their day to grow their business or launch their big idea. And this can be a really challenging, but also really beautiful season for your business. I think some of the really great things that can come from this time period of your business journey are that it really does force you to be a ninja with your time. And that's something that if you go into entrepreneurship and just have all the time in the world, it can be detrimental in some ways because you don't ever develop those skills around managing your calendar and having to prioritize things. So I actually think that the fact that I grew my business as a side hustle to start with taught me some really, really important skills that I don't want to step over, because a lot of times when we're talking about a side hustle, we're having this conversation of, okay, but how do I eventually make that my full-time career, my full-time business? How do I leave this job that I'm not happy with? And while if that's your ultimate goal, I want to give you some tools to help you get there. I also want to, I guess I'm like making a plug for not leaving your job too quickly. And here's why I say that. I think there are some beautiful things that happen, some really important skills that can be developed while you are in the season of working in a full-time job that maybe you don't feel is forever for you. Maybe you don't want it to be your forever job, while spending part of your time working on something that's your passion. I think having to really hone in some skills during that season actually make you a better entrepreneur in the future. It also, just kind of provides some financial stability. It can possibly be the source of great relationships and connections for you. So this is my disclaimer that I'm not actually a proponent of, rushing to leave a job that you're unhappy in and just wanting entrepreneurship to fix that. Because I'll tell you from the other side of things, being an entrepreneur isn't always sunshine and rainbows every day. There's a lot of hard things and difficult conversations that come with entrepreneurship as well. And so if you hone those skills when you're working in a job, you can bring them into your business once you are ready to take that full time. But I do want to share, I think, the 3 things. I've coached a lot of women, mentored a lot of women who have a side hustle that they want to grow and maybe want to become their full-time business. And there's a couple of things that I've noticed really make the difference. Whether or not you ever plan to make your side hustle your full-time hustle, these are things that can just make it the most effective, because the thing that you are going to have in common, regardless of your future goal for this business endeavor, is that you're probably working with limited time. And that's one of the biggest challenges. It's one of the biggest, not complaints, but I think it's one of the things that oftentimes it's tempting to use as an excuse for why our business isn't growing, that we don't have all the time in the world. And this is just a little tough love to share that, I think that actually is the wrong way to look at it. And I think you can do more with the time that you do have than you're maybe realizing. But it does require you to have extraordinary discipline and to have a few other things in place. So I'm going to give you really my 3 top tips for growing your side hustle, no matter if you ever want that to become your full-time gig or not. These are 3 things that will help you grow it, and then you can decide what you want to do with that business in the future. But the first one really comes down to this idea that if you do want your side hustle to eventually become your full-time business, that this is something I often see entrepreneurs miss, and it can be really eye-opening in a great way. And that is, do you actually know how much you need your business to make in order for you to take it full-time? Most entrepreneurs couldn't answer that question. And that's okay. If you're sitting there and you're listening to this going, gosh, I actually don't know. Do I just need to match my salary? Is it less than that? Is it more than that? And what I find is once you do the math, once you actually sit down and run the numbers of what you would need in order to make your business your full-time source of income, I find that actually most entrepreneurs that I've done this exercise with find that they're closer to being able to make that decision than they thought. They just had never run the numbers. And sometimes when we're actually just like so head down, we're in the work of doing the day-to-day in our business, plus, working a full-time job or raising a family and balancing all the other life commitments, it can be easy to just be so in the doing that we never stop and make a plan. So it's as simple as this. If you were to add up all of your lifestyle expenses, any business expenses that you have, what's that number? What's the goal that you're shooting for? If you're aiming for a target that you don't even know what that target is, it's going to be a lot tougher to reach it. But the moment that you break it down and you run the numbers for how much you actually need to earn in a month or a week, or maybe just for the entire year, then you can actually start to put a plan together how you're going to reach that. And I'm a firm believer in just the power of setting that intention on where you need the business to grow in order to make that choice. Or even if you don't want to go full time, having a goal that you're actually shooting for in your business is a really powerful way to subconsciously make sure that you are showing up every day and moving toward that goal. It's actually a really effective way to grow your business regardless of what the end goal is to make sure you know what target are you aiming for. So that's the first one. And that can just be as simple as running a quick calculation to find out how much do you actually spend, in your household? How much, do you spend in your business budget? And then finding out where you're spending unnecessarily, right? Where can you cut some expenses that aren't necessary, even if it's just temporary, so that you can make that decision and go all in on your business and maybe have some more time and energy to invest there. And then, just looking at how many customers would it take, how many business transactions would it take in order for you to reach that goal. And now you have a number you can work with. Now you have a number you can build a marketing plan around. So I'm really curious to hear those of you listening who, especially those of you who your goal is to make your business a full-time endeavor, have you ever run the numbers? Have you actually ever written down numbers? Or has it in your mind just been more of a conversation of, oh, I guess when I match my income that I'm making in my job, I guess then I can leave? That was always how it was for me. But it wasn't until I sat down and actually did the numbers that I realized I was actually closer to my goal than I thought. And when you take into consideration tax advantages and benefits, a lot of times that number that you're shooting for isn't actually as high as you thought it was. So just some things to think about there. The other two things really kind of come down to maximizing your time. And this is going to be, I think, the make or break if your side hustle will ever really take off, or if it'll just always continue being a passion project or something that you do a few hours a week because you love it. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, right now that's all I really want for this side hustle. I just love it. I love my job. I want to continue, serving other people in this way and using my skills and talents. And that's perfect. Nothing wrong with that. And I think that's actually a really beautiful thing. And I know there's so many women in our community who fit into that category that they love their job. They don't ever plan to leave. But regardless of that, I think making sure that you're making the biggest impact you possibly can is going to come down to making sure that you are focusing on the highest ROI, that's like tough to spit out, the highest ROI activities. So ROI stands for return on investment. Where is it that you're investing your time and getting the biggest return? Because if you only have limited amount of time to work on your business, you want to make sure that if you're working 1 hour, that hour is producing the maximum results it possibly can. Now, this is also tricky because when you're new in business, you're probably wearing all the hats. So you're designing your own graphics, maybe you're editing your own podcast, you're doing all of these things that are necessary, but they aren't necessarily the things that earn money for the business. And this can be really kind of a stretch mentally, I think, for those early stages of business, because we think, gosh, okay, I could never afford to hire someone to do these other things. But I want you to think about it this way. If you have this goal, so once you've done step one and you've done the numbers and you know exactly what your target income is, and you look at the number of hours you have in the day, you have to make sure that the hours you're dedicating to your business are hours that are producing income. And if they're not, and if let's say your goal is to produce, on average, if you've got, say, 10 hours a week that you are working on your business and you need those 10 hours to generate, let's just say $1,000, right? So you need to make sure that you're doing activities that are either generating $100 an hour or more. And then anything that's not, that is necessary to do for the business, right? Creating graphics and doing things like that. Look at where you can invest in someone else's business and hire them to do things that maybe you could hire for $20, $30, $40 an hour. And focus your energy on things like sales calls, actual coaching, selling a product, right? Things that are actually bringing money into the business. And this is so tricky because in the beginning, I know I had this mentality like I've got to do it all. I've got to earn more money before I could ever pay someone else. But that's actually the slow way to grow, especially at the side hustle stage, because you are only able to bring in a certain amount of income if you're trying to do all of the things by yourself. And the time that you do have to invest in building your business needs to be generating revenue if you're ever going to truly grow. So focusing on the activities in your business, and I would even recommend sitting down and writing out what activities actually create more revenue in your business. And be honest, right? Does answering emails, going through your inbox, creating the perfect picture and caption for social media, some of those things may be necessary, and they may even still be things that you choose to do in your business, but get really clear. What are the activities that bring in revenue and what are the activities that don't? And just know you can always outsource and find help. You can barter, you can get creative and scrappy, but what's going to grow your business and grow the bottom line is to grow your revenue, make more sales. So you want to focus first priority of where your time goes is the activities that are going to directly impact that. Okay, and the third one is kind of two-part. I guess I'm cheating, but I really look at these as equally important, so I'm combining them into one tip. And that is, I cannot stress this enough. When you have limited time to work on your business, having mentorship, a plan to follow, and a community that supports you are critical. I can't even underline the importance of this, because if you think about it, a lot of times what stops people from investing in a program like, we have our 6-figure school program that's open now for enrollment or something similar, is thinking, gosh, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to dedicate to this. I'm already working full time plus working my business. And I actually look at it as the complete opposite, in that you can't afford not to have a plan. If you're working, let's just say 8 to 9 hours a day, and you've got an hour or two to work on your business in the evenings and maybe a little bit on weekends, then having a plan for what to do with those hours is essential. So, whether it's a course like 6-figure school, something else that's really, really speaking to you, something that's going to give you those step-by-step tools is really going to help you grow faster, because you won't sit there during your work hours wondering what to focus on. So mentorship is key, and then community, right? Who's going to hold you accountable? The truth is that those early days of starting to build a business are the most fragile. And I shared this on social media this week, that the easiest time to kill a big idea is when it's in seed form. When it's the tiny seed of an idea before it's grown roots and before you can see the fruit. So if you think of like an apple tree, this is the example I gave, it's a lot harder to cut down a mature tree where you have to dig up the roots and you see the beautiful fruit than it is to dig up a seed that was just planted in the soil a week or a month ago, and it hasn't had a chance to grow roots. We don't see the fruit of that seed yet. And this is why having community is essential, because there's going to be a lot of days that you want to quit. And you're going to think, gosh, it just would be so much easier to go back to working my job. Sure, I wasn't that happy. Sure, I wasn't making the impact I know I'm here on this planet to make. But it's safe. It's easy. I know I can count on the paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the best choice for you, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those of you who know that you're on the verge of going forward with this big idea, or maybe not. And you know that if you don't move forward on it, you are going to spend the rest of your life wondering what if, wondering, okay, could I have done it? Could I have made an impact? What if I just would have stuck it out? And that's where community is absolutely essential. It provides you with the encouragement to keep going. It provides you with support, feedback, ideas. But I think most of all, it provides you with accountability. People to remind you why you started on the days that you want to quit. And you're going to have them. I had them in the early days. And if it weren't for investments into programs, and if it weren't for surrounding myself with community, I would have quit. Nothing that you see today that exists under the umbrella of Powerhouse Women would exist. I want you to really think about that. So what is that idea that 4 years from now, other people will be thanking you for not quitting and not giving up? Other people will be thinking, gosh, I can't imagine if you wouldn't have kept going, if this idea had never happened. And when you're in that early stage, when it's a side hustle, when it feels like an uphill battle, that is when you need community the most. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons why we created and launched our six-figure school program, was for those of you who are building a side hustle and you need the plan, you need support, and you also need to be able to take it at your own pace because life is busy. And when you're fitting your business into the nooks and crannies of your life, you need to make sure you're maximizing those periods of time. So we right now, as you're listening to this, just opened the doors for Six-Figure School. You probably heard that at the top of the episode, but this is my official invitation to join us. If you listen to this podcast, if you're a podcast junkie like me, you know that there's no secrets, there's no shortcuts to success, but there are things that you can do to support yourself, to make sure that you don't get in your own way, and you make sure that you don't give up on the people that you are here on this planet to impact. So the best way to get the information, I'll link everything in the show notes. You can just go to joinsixfigureschool.com. You can find all the info there, but here's what I want to offer you. If you have questions, if this is kind of making your palms sweaty because you know that you're ready for more, but you're just really not sure if this is the right investment for you, I only want you to invest in this if it is. So I'll never try to talk you into something that isn't a fit, but you can text me directly. And the number that I always share on the podcast does actually come right to my cell phone. This is actually my text number. No one else answers these messages. You're not getting a bot. You're not getting someone from my team answering messages. You and I can have a heart-to-heart and a direct conversation to see if this is a fit. And so I want to offer that to you and extend it. And the number to text, you can just send your question directly to 602-536-7829. And I would love to support you. And just know that, this kind of opportunity only comes around a few times a year. So this is the first time, and it may be the only time, that we open the doors for Six-Figure School this year. And I just don't want you to miss out if you know that you're ready for more. I don't want you to wait 6 months to start your journey and lose all that time that you could have a focused plan, when there are people that I firmly believe are waiting, they're just waiting for you to get into action around your big idea and take that next step. So I can't wait to text with you and help you decide if this is a fit. I'm always a stand for people to find the program, whether it's ours or not, that is a fit for them, because I'm a stand for the lives that you're going to impact. So I hope you really hear my heart on that. But those of you who join us for Six Figure School, we are going to have an absolute blast. So you can get all the info. I'll give you the places to find it. Again, you just go to joinsixfigureschool.com. And then if you want to text me with questions, you can text those to 602-536-7829. And cannot wait to meet so many of you inside this program. We're going to have such a blast over the next 12 weeks.